Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lauren Cielo from Golden Rose Psychic Services.
And I'm Crystal Heinemann from Crystal Sunshine Psychic Services.
And this is the Metaphysical Q&A podcast,
where we make metaphysics crystal clear
and golden delicious.
Metaphysical QA is a subscription-based podcast where we shift the way each human views their experiences that they're having here on this earth plane.
That's right. Crystal and I are clairvoyant healers and teachers, and we're using this platform to help explain all of our shared human daily experiences in easily understood metaphysical terms.
And our viewers and listeners supply the questions. That's you. And we're so appreciative of you all. So if you'd like to submit a question for an upcoming podcast, will you please visit our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com, or you can visit us on Facebook at Metaphysical Q&A. You can submit your questions there. And if we do read one of your questions and answer one of your questions, one of us is going to offer you a free reading.
That's excellent. All right, Crystal, what are the questions for this episode?
Okay, so we have 3 great questions for today. Are you ready, Dr. Lauren?
I am.
All right. Okay, so question number 1 comes from Kenny in Sacramento. Hello, Kenny. And Kenny asks, what exactly is an ascended master and how can I work with one?
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah.
Lori from Bismarck, North Dakota, she asks, is it realistic to think one could become an ascended master in their present incarnation? And if so, how?
Oh.
I know, I love it. And we've got the Dakotas today. I love it. Annabelle from South Dakota, she asks, do you consider Jesus Christ to be an ascended master? Ooh. All right, I love these questions. So definitely ascended master based. So how about we call this one the Metaphysics of Ascended Masters?
Oh, I like that. And you know, the great thing, really, ascended masters are just another being without a body that all of us beings with bodies can use for moving energy, getting information, making you feel safe, making you maybe more prosperous. So whether it's an angel, a spirit guide, whether it's a healing master like Crystal and I have, or an ascended master, we're going to delve a little bit farther into what makes an ascended master, and maybe we'll both learn something, Crystal.
I hope so. Let's do
it.
Okay, so our first question for today's podcast of Metaphysics of Ascended Masters comes from Kenny in Sacramento. And Kenny once again asks, what exactly is an ascended master and how can I work with one? Lauren?
Right. Well, let's start with the first part. So first we have to talk about the astral plane. We have to back up a little bit before we can understand what an ascended master really is. So the real world where your soul lives forever is called the astral plane, and there's 12 levels. And they just have different vibrations. So you can really go to any level that you want, but you will have an affinity for a certain level or two. I always liken this. I don't know why. Every time that I describe this, it reminds me of the high school quad, Crystal. Now, you can go over and stand with the stoners. You could go over and hang with the surfers, or the nerds or the jocks. But you have an affinity with one or the other. So while you can go over there, chances are you wouldn't, right? So you'd hang out with your own peeps. So that might be a good way to understand the astral plane, your high school quad. Now, when we find ourselves in a reality like this that isn't real, each unreal reality is created to a frequency of a certain level of the astral, so that everyone who incarnates here hovers on those same levels. Okay, so we find ourselves right now on an earth that's hovering between levels 3 and 4, again out of 12. And it's moving from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5. And so that's what we call ascension. So this earth, this reality is shifting its vibration. And so the people that hang out at level 5 will incarnate here. And you might want to go look in the mirror, because that's probably what you are. You might actually have more of an affinity at level 5, and that's why you're here to help pull us up. And usually people that are listening to mine and Crystal's voice in this on these subject matters, that's what you are. So an ascended master is someone who their vibration has moved up so high that they don't find any benefit from incarnating lower. And so they don't incarnate, but they still might interact with that reality. So beings that no longer find it beneficial to incarnate on level 3 and 4 are available for us that are hanging out here, again, to help us get up to level 5. And I'll give you a good analogy, perhaps, of an example of an ascended master. If it accidentally incarnated in a reality that was too low for it, what it would do is probably something really close to SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. A soul would incarnate into a body in a reality and start to look around and go, wait a minute, this isn't real. It's not real. So why should I eat? Why should my heart beat? Why should I continue breathing? It's a dream. And so they check out. They don't really stay here. If you were to accidentally incarnate in a fake world that's too low of a vibration. So that's what I got on that.
I love that. I love learning new things. Kenny, I was taking a peek at you, and you do have an affinity and an affection for the higher levels of the astral plane, absolutely. And you know what I got is you're really comfortable on level 7 and 8. That's what I took a peek at. And 7 and 8, that's really what that is it's where the Cathedral of Souls are. It's where the Akashic records are. It's a lot of information on 7 and 8. That's where our soul goes at night when we go to bed. We head off to the astral. And a lot of the times, like if you wake up and you feel like, oh my gosh, I was just downloaded last night. I feel like I have so much information, because we're all teaching and we're all learning on the level 7 and 8. And we might dip in there. You might, just learn one class and then come back if you have an affinity for other levels, but you really like collecting knowledge. And so your soul is really comfortable and you really teach a lot on level 7 and 8. And so what I really wanted to take a peek at, but your higher self wanted me to talk about that, but what you really wanted me to take a peek at is what ascended master would be beneficial for you to work with. And what I got was the prophets, like any sort of prophet of any time, that's going to resonate with you, because you being on a level 7 and 8, you love knowledge, you love learning knowledge, you love teaching knowledge, you're really comfortable among like all of these scholars, and you love that information that prophets tend to bring in. And I'm getting Buddha would be a really good one for you to work with. You really love like the taglines of like, Buddha's prophets, you like prophecies for some reason. You really like that. Even like way, way back, even like Aristotle, like I'm hearing would be like a really good one that would resonate with you. So any prophet that, I'm sure this isn't a surprise for you, that all of a sudden, like maybe they're not even considered a prophet, but anyone's like, almost like ancient writings that it really resonates inside of you, that is really who you're working with. So you really love collecting knowledge. So that's what I got for you. And I really loved reading that in your space. So thanks so much, Kenny. I hope that answers your question.
All right. We are up to question number 2. Lori asks, is it realistic to think one could become an ascended master in their present incarnation? And if yes, how?
Thank you, Lori. Great question. Yeah, I love this. Yes. And if you listen to the first question, we'll kind of just piggyback off of that. Yes, absolutely, Lori. Because once again, so we'll reiterate, there's 12 layers of the astral. And right now, physically, Earth is running between the levels of 3 and 4. That's the dimension that we're on. It's a complete replica of levels 3 and 4 on the astral plane. That's where we're at right now. So we're all ascended masters from a lower level of the astral plane. So is it realistic to think that one can become an ascended master in a present life? Yes. And that's kind of the way of the natural progression of the soul. So the reason why we constantly incarnate, or we choose to take body and we choose to incarnate, is hopefully, if you are coming here to do what you signed up to do with those soul contracts that we always talk about, is to spiritually grow and is to ascend. And the natural way of ascension is working those soul contracts, reincarnating constantly, working that, and you're raising your vibration and ascending to a higher level of the astral plane. So being that we are in levels 3 and 4, we go in between 3 and 4. The earth plane has, some aspects that are 3, some aspects that are 4. The natural progression for you and for all of us at some point, and we're all going to reach there at a different time, I believe, is to reach the level of 5. And so once you do that, which is just the way of the natural progression, you will be an ascended master of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Quite honestly, and just like Lauren had said, anyone that's really vibing to our information is right there already. So most likely, you're probably an ascended master for sure too, but you're probably very close to being an ascended master of level 3 as well. And so yes, that's how you do it, is actually just the way of just spiritually growing and living through your contracts and incarnating and fulfilling those. And it's just going to be the natural progression of your ascension to become an ascended master of every level that you pass almost, So that's what I have, Dr. Lauren.
All right. Well, Lori, I was actually peeking at the lifetime where you ascended level 2. And so like the last time that you ever incarnated in a reality, a fake reality that vibrates to level 2. And again, you are definitely an ascended master of level 2. So think of it this way before I read the lifetime. The beings that are incarnated on level 2 may use you the way we use our ascended masters here. They may actually know your name and even have your pictures on the internet the way we do here. So the lifetime when you ended the need for you to incarnate on level 2, I found it so interesting that the thing that had you, I'll say this, the contract that you lived through that helped you ascend from level 2 was a mothering contract. I just thought that was so interesting. And so when I tried to look more at whatever fake reality you were in that was vibing to level 2, and there weren't many mothers. Like, I think that whatever life form you were in, it might be like, well, I don't know. I can't even think of an animal that lays a whole bunch of eggs, like one mom and a whole bunch of babies. That's what this lifetime was like. Maybe like an insect or something. Don't have some insects like that, Crystal?
Insect, or even a snake, I think, has like like a serpent of life. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were very like a queen bee.
Yeah.
That might be it, a queen bee. Yeah. So in this reality, there were only a few souls that were a mother. And I think just like Crystal said, the way you keep incarnated in a reality until finally it doesn't benefit you anymore. I think you incarnated there a lot in the life forms that weren't mothers. And once you became the mother, then you ascended a lifetime and you moved on. I just would have never guessed that. Is that whack?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love learning it. And what I would really like feedback is whether or not you're a mother in this lifetime. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, I was just thinking that. So either you're going to love being a mother or you would never want to do it.
Right? I have birthed like millions of babies. I'm done. I've lived through that contract. Yeah.
I got goosebumps.
Me too. Oh, Lori, please let us know.
Yeah. Queen bee. Thanks, Lori.
Okay, so we're on to question number 3. And question number 3 comes from Annabelle from South Dakota. And she wants to know, do you consider Jesus Christ to be an ascended master?
Oh. Well, let's talk Jesus Christ, shall we?
Boy, I put her seatbelt in.
So I've got a lot of Jesus stories, and probably the best way to start off this conversation is to say that not a lot of times, but a few times in a reading, while you're going from one question to the other, some of my clients might drop in a question about Jesus. And so I've read different things about this particular soul. So I do consider Jesus Christ to be an ascended master, but not from the lifetime that we knew him as Jesus Christ. And let me explain that. If you remember from the other information that we talked about I can't remember which question, probably the first one, where we talked about that if you were to incarnate in a fake reality, one of these worlds, right, that is too low, as soon as you get there, you realize that it's not real, that you live on the astral, and that is like a dream or something. You can tell instantly. So that would mean that you don't participate in that reality. Like I mentioned with kids who die from SIDS, right? They just don't participate. They might, even like children that just don't thrive and they just pass away, right? So in the life that we know of Jesus, there's one thing that I think really stands out from all the stories, in the Gospels that shows that Jesus did not ascend in that lifetime. And it's the turning over the tables of the money changers in the synagogue. I don't know if I was raised in the church, so it's all sunk into me. So Jesus goes into the synagogue and there's money changers there who are, from what I can remember, Crystal, I don't know, I'm not a biblical scholar, but I believe what they were doing is that they were making money from money, like, and we do it all the time now, but like in currency exchange, and then also, selling offerings to, doves and sheep and stuff like that for them to slaughter. Very strange, but anyway, and this made Jesus really mad, and so he runs in there and he throws, he turns over the table changers' table, meaning he ransacks the place. Well, that is not a trait of an ascended master. An ascended master wouldn't care. They'd be like, I don't care, whatever you guys do on this reality is fine with me. You're all a bunch of animals anyway. That would be the feeling as you start to ascend in one lifetime. You start to go, I'm not going to participate in any of this stuff. So Jesus, in the reading that somebody asked me, he did ascend, but it was a lifetime after that. And he looked to me more like a yogi, like what I think is a yogi. He's a really skinny, bald man that just had a little white thing wrapped around his loincloth or something. And he was in a cave. And he was all alone and nobody knew his name. And in that cave, in his contemplations, his vibration rose high enough that he started to realize that it wasn't real. And so he just quit eating and passed away and has never found benefit of incarnating in this reality ever again. So I don't know. That's what I got, Crystal.
I think it's pretty good. It's so funny because I was clairvoyantly picking up a time. What I wanted to look in for you, Annabelle, is your relationship with Jesus Christ. And I saw you out in a farm, like in a field, in a pasture with sheep. The minute you said sheep, so at the moment, so it's always so crazy. Anyways, okay. So Annabelle, what I wanted to pick up was again your relationship with Jesus Christ. And I'm not surprised that you asked this question because you have had a relationship with Jesus Christ. The time that I'm getting is around like 4 years old, like 4 or 5. And I think you're from South Dakota, but I think whether you're in a city now there, the picture that you showed me is actually, you've got mountains on each side of you. And then there's a beautiful like river that's running through these mountains. They're not tall and they're actually kind of flat. They're not peaked. And there's this beautiful, like a little river. It's not too wide and it's not going too fast, going down the valley of these mountains. And it's a beautiful green pasture. And your house is over here. And you're out there by yourself. And you're about 4 or 5. I think you're closer to 4. And I could feel like the sun that's coming down on you. And you've got a blanket out there and you're safe. And then that's when Jesus Christ came to you for the first time. That's why I'm not surprised that you're asking this question, whether you're conscious of it or if like you think that maybe that wasn't real, but he is really in your space and has been in your space since you were 4 years old. And he came down there and he actually stood with you where you were at. And then all of a sudden the flock of sheep like came over, and what he was teaching you from that moment was that we are all one and that we're all connected. It was about brotherhood and sisterhood. And it was about like, we all are brothers. We all are sisters. And then the sheep came in and he said, and we are one as well. And so it was a lesson on teaching that we teach everything with respect, right? And we work the energy of respect and gratefulness for everything around us. And I could feel that energy that he's bringing into you. And you're just so bright-eyed and like so, it felt like he was a brother to you when he came down to you. So it's really beautiful. And the way that he shows me now and what you show me now is you walk side by side with Jesus Christ. You walk side by side. And it is like a brotherhood, sisterhood between the two of you. And you are walking side by side with Jesus Christ. So I hope that helps you. I got a little emotional with that. It was so beautiful, Annabelle. So thank you for showing that to me. And I hope that answered your question. And if you did hear your question here on this episode, would you please visit our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com? And would you please click that free reading button? And one of us would love to offer you a free reading. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Crystal, do you think we've done it again?
You know what, Lauren? I do think that we have done it again. I think that we have really made metaphysics crystal clear.
And golden delicious.
Would you please visit our website at www.metaphysicalqa.com to subscribe and to submit your questions. We love your support, and we are so grateful for your support. And you can check me out at crystalsunshinepsychicservices.com.
And you can check me out on the web, laurencielo.com and goldenrosepsychic.com. Bye for now.
Jinx.
Please hang up and try again.